One moment, Chrissy Lynn is a happy mother, and the next, it seems as though her child never existed. But Jim Jones is out here accusing the haters. This is getting out of hand, so let's break everything down quickly since something doesn't seem to be adding up. How could a newborn baby just vanish overnight? Why is Jim Jones out here accusing someone of kidnapping, or is there something far more serious going on behind the scenes? People, you better believe we're going all the way down this one from odd moves to instead of searching for answers. As you already know, the tea is boiling hot and the shady family drama is going to become messy, so grab some popcorn. Receipts. That show Chrissy Lannon's infant vanished into thin air, and Jim Jones, instead of being a worried parent, is excuse me, sir. Why are you out here accusing the haters while your child is missing and not calling the police? Now that you're worried about social media, let's explore this chaotic timeline because first and foremost, let's not forget that the internet detectives are already putting a lot of effort into piecing everything together. Act as though Chrissy Lampkin and Jim Jones have always been the ideal couple. You recall how long it took him to even before he finally gave her to her. She had to wait for him for nearly 10 years, requesting and enduring his nonsense. A ring, and let's face it, he wasn't very thrilled about it. We all saw how wary he was of love and hip-hop. Fast forward to the responses when Chrissy Lampkin initially announced she was expecting a child and gave birth to a couple of them. Weren't what you would anticipate from a long-term partnership. Folks were giving Jim Jones the side-eye like, wait. He was simply saying that he didn't want children, and let's not forget that Mama Jones wasn't even pregnant. Even wondering whether the child was Jim's, and then all of a sudden the DNA drama happened, and let me tell you that there was chaos on the internet, and Jim Jones appeared to be about to pack up and flee when Chrissy Lampkin was crying as she tried to persuade everyone that this was it when those results were announced. Was supposed to be a happy time, and when we believed everything was finally settling down, we woke up to this. When a baby disappears and no trace of him is found, suspicions are raised about some unnamed sources, by anonymous, people on Twitter who say they have inside knowledge, are saying Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin reportedly had a huge fight the night before they vanished. Disagreement that was so ugly that the neighbors could hear it through the walls, but soon after that, the worst part argument bang, the baby's gone, kids don't just disappear, so what really happened here? There are a lot of crazy theories. There is a possibility that Mama Jones was involved in this. I realize this is absurd, but let's not act as though she has not interfered in Jim's life since the beginning. She never approved of Chrissy Lampkin's pregnant, and let's face it, she would do it if she could find a way to get rid of this child, but wait until it gets even stranger considering there are rumors that Chrissy Lenz was spotted just a few days ago at a private medical institution. Why isn't anyone discussing this before the baby vanished? What was she doing there? Was it a routine checkup or anything beyond Jim Jones's assertion? And trust me when I say that it was illogical for a man to use social media. And responds, the haters got what they wanted, sir. Your baby is missing. You don't cry, worry, or call the police. Intervention just a few haters who use badge gibberish, and this is where things go south because, guess what? There was no official missing persons report, no police investigation, and no Amber Alert. Therefore now there are a lot of hypotheses on the internet and honestly, some of these theories make a little too much sense. The first is that the infant didn't exist in the first place. Jim Jones never posted anything, and Chrissy Lampkin never submitted a single picture. Where have we ever seen this child? And all of a sudden, the baby is gone. Some people believe that this was a great PR ploy gone bad, but what if Chrissy, to keep Jim Jones imprisoned, Lampkin staged the pregnancy, and now that the truth is out, they're trying to discreetly tidy up the mess, and to be honest, this isn't the first time a celebrity has done something similar. Secondly, as you are already aware, Mama Jones has been attempting to get Chrissy Lampkin out of the image for years, and given all of her dubious actions in the past, would it be that odd if she somehow developed the third disappearance idea? Something even more sinister occurred, and I don't even want to say this aloud, but what if the infant had a problem and they were hiding it? I'm referring to the absence of police involvement seems questionable. Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin's behavior is strange, and I don't want to draw hasty judgments, but what do you guys think happened here? Something doesn't seem to fit, and trust me when I say this. Toes is far from done because, in part 2, we're going to dissect all the odd facts, and let me tell you, okay, everyone, if you thought the first part was weird, wait till you hear what's going to get even stranger. Comes next because it becomes more dubious the more we investigate this inexplicable infant loss. Let's now take up where we left off, with Chrissy radio silence and Jim Jones out here accusing the haters, and tell me why no one in their inner circle is discussing this. If a conflict arises, someone will be leaking information, whether it's a close source or a friend of a friend, but this is just complete silence because, let's face it, if your child disappears, you're making a big scene, including the news, and yelling from roofs by calling the police. However, they're not, which implies that either of the two facts they already know, that the baby's location was never genuine in the first place, or if number 2 is correct, we've been duped. Let's take a moment to discuss this alleged pregnancy. Because I'm not sure about you, but ever from the first day of no prenatal photo shoots, something has felt strange because of you all. No baby shower, not even a little private one, because Chrissy Lampkin loves to show off when she's feeling well. Updates on pregnancy glow bumps abound, and let's not even talk about Jim Jones, as this guy was walking around, acting as though nothing had happened during the whole period that Chrissy Lampkin was purportedly expecting your first child. Like bro, you don't even seem excited that a child is on the way. Recall that when Cardi B was expecting, Rihanna and Beyonce had comprehensive advertising campaigns for their babies, but Chrissy Lampkin remains silent, and this is where the strangeness begins. Because it was revealed by a medical professional who obviously wished to stay anonymous that Chrissy Lampkin was repeatedly seen in a private hospital, but not for prenatal care. Why would she be in a private medical facility while saying she was pregnant, but if it wasn't for exams, what if she wasn't? When things became even more dubious, one of Chrissy's former acquaintances appeared and essentially validated what we were all. She implied that Jim and Chrissy Lampkin had always been strategic in their business dealings. I promise that if she were to do anything similar, she would make it seem genuine. Excuse me, are you telling me this entire thing? Let's change our focus for a moment, since if this baby was real, there would only be one person involved. This was a planned PR effort. For what? Mama Jones is the one who appears to be really suspicious at the moment because we know she has opposed this pregnancy from the beginning. Didn't hold back at all, and she even questioned whether the child was truly Jim's, but this is where things become complicated. Go extremely strange, and I'm beginning to think that Mama Jones could have actually taken matters into her own hands. Seems excessive, but let me explain. First of all, we have seen Mama Jones, and she is not beyond being untidy. Repeatedly overstepped the bounds of Jim Jones and Chrissy's friendship, and secondly, she was among the third. Tell me why a neighbor reported seeing the last person saw with the baby prior to the disappearance. Her carrying a blanket-covered bundle as she left Chrissy and Jim's residence in the middle of the night was. We can't prove anything in that bundle, of course, but let's just ask whether Mama Jones stole the baby. Where did she take it, and why isn't anyone talking about this and the odd conduct that has to be discussed? Jim Jones himself, as there's something off about his demeanor, such as why he's acting so casually about this whole. Why is he publishing stories about Thea Hotting, and why isn't Jim Jones mentioned? Has lately come under pressure for questionable financial practices. What if this baby story is just a distraction from something bigger? Because tell me why there were rumors that Jim Jones was in pain only last week. Significant financial difficulties. According to some sources, he was even negotiating the sale of some of his properties. His responsibilities. Therefore, is it possible that this whole pregnancy situation is just a smokescreen for something else? As you are already aware, the internet is exploding with theories on this whole situation. And let me share some of their crazy. One user commented, since there was never a baby in the first place, Jim and Chrissy's child is missing. Math is useless. Another person tweeted, Mama Jones clearly took that baby. Took that child. We now require an FBI-level investigation. Then someone really went there. What if Chrissy Lampkin and Jim Jones fabricated this baby to evoke pity? And now they're unsure about how to wrap up the story. Listen, I realize that last one looks strange, but at this point the argument is that, let's face it, Hollywood celebrities enjoy creating controversy, thus anything is really off the menu. When advantages them, and what if they truly thought that this publicity ploy would increase their relevance? Backfired now, and we need clarification. Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin must step up and tell us whether this baby is real. If so, where is it now? Why hasn't anyone in their circle reported missing, and why hasn't anyone spoken up more recently? The more time passes, the more shady this becomes, and trust me, this story is far from over because in part 3 we're going to examine the false narratives and covert motivations behind this terrible situation in further detail. And if you thought part 2 was crazy, I'm going to tell you now that it's going to become even darker. Hold on, because we're going to delve even farther because it's not even about whether the child was sincere or not, it concerns the extent to which Chrissy Lampkin and Jim Jones are willing to conceal the truth. And let me tell you, the story becomes wilder the more we go into it, so let's pick up where we left off. Jim Jones is currently performing. Mama Jones is strolling around as if she doesn't know, Chrissy Lampkin is practically hiding, and he seems too cool to care. Simply explain to me why, just when we were beginning to ask too many questions, new evidence appeared out of nowhere. Unbeknownst to them, a tipster claimed to have evidence that the child had been kidnapped by a close relative. Oh, but guess what? That evidence turned out to be some shaky, poor-quality security footage of a sinister individual. Excuse me, but do you think we're supposed to leave Jim and Chrissy's house in the middle of the night? Take this as proof. Where is the unobscured video? Where is the police investigation? Oh, there are no police. Since no one reported the baby missing, what is going on here? Take a moment to consider it. If you're when a child disappears, what do you do first? You call the police, you tell the media, and you get quite anxious mode, but Chrissy Lampkin and Jim Jones are having fun and posting mysterious Instagram messages while acting like everything is fine. Is acceptable. It almost seems as though they don't want the police to get involved. Why might that be the case? Maybe, if the officers actually began looking into it, they would discover that there had never been a baby there in the first place. And that, listen, I'm not the only one dealing with this entire matter, since it explains to me why a reporter attempted to question Jim Jones during an event yesterday night and his answer was questionable to say the least. Rather than answering the query, he grinned and remarked, "People like making up stories, you guys should mind your own business." Alright, so we should now mind our business, but it was everyone's business when you sought publicity for this enigmatic baby scheme. Now, let's talk about Mama Jones once more because, although I'm not sure about you, she seems more guilty every second after. Guess what happened when she took an unusual late-night leave of absence from Jim Jones and Chrissy's house? She went totally socially isolated. Media posts, no appearances in public, no comments. You know, this is a woman who thrives on drama, so why is she suddenly so? Could she be quiet because she knows something we don't? Let me tell you, when someone spotted her, things became even stranger. She was seen meeting up with an unidentified male in a remote area of New Jersey, and this is the man she was speaking with, someone who used to be a private investigator. Hello, what is the cover-up here? Because if you ask, I'm convinced that we should put an end to the issue before it worsens, but sadly, it's too late because the streets are talking about the internet, and people are already asking for answers. This is where things become complicated. Take a more sinister turn since elucidate the reasons for the recent disclosure by an unidentified source that Chrissy Lampkin had. You mean to tell me that this entire pregnancy was a hoax from the beginning? If I've been working with a surrogate all along? This is accurate and provides a lot of explanation for why there were no pictures of Chrissy during her pregnancy, why there was no baby bulge, and why Linens has been quite private all along. But hold on, things get worse because one source claims that if this is accurate, Jim, the surrogate, allegedly brought the child back since she was not paid the full amount she was promised. Honestly, if that's the case, Jones and Chrissy Lampkin simply got outplayed and never lost the kid. Fantastic for her, since if they really thought they could utilize this to play games, whatever happens to a woman's time and money next? But the point of this is, where is the real surrogate now? Because individuals began excavating at the same time she went inside her. Guess what occurred? Missing you all too. And I'm not even sure social media presence without any interviews, comments, almost as though someone made she definitely left. Before she could say anything, and if it doesn't make you shiver, spine, I have no idea what will occur. So right now we're not merely taking care of a lost baby, that we could be coping with a legitimate Hollywood cover-up, and just to remind you that this isn't the first Jim, everyone Chrissy Lampkin and Jones have been apprehended. Jim Jones is involved in various dubious activities, been connected to many financial disputes, and don't overlook how Chris amazingly become wealthy out of a few years ago. They were unable to thought that pretending to be a child would be their most lucrative move, nor were they able to intend to sign a reality TV contract or sell the first party the exclusive rights to pictures of a newborn. But when things didn't go, they had to go as scheduled. Prior to the truth being revealed at this point, everything is possible due to everything changed from a lost baby to a Hollywood production plot. And trust me when I say that this is not the final time we hear about it, as if I am aware of one thing about Hollywood drama: the truth always comes out when it does, and Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin should prepare for the repercussions. Prior to concluding this up, please let me know in the comments what you think actually happened. Did Mama ever have a child in the first place? Jones makes some deft moves, or is this among the biggest public relations scams ever? You all know, whatever the situation may be, I'm monitoring this matter, so if you wish to stay current,